and Bernstein Unfiltered. Unfiltered on 312 Sports.
It's DBU on 312, and I'm still buzzing about that game. I had trouble falling asleep. There was just too much going on, and then there was this avalanche of trivia and all the firsts and all the things and all of what happened. What just a spectacular sports viewing experience that was last night. And that really just a great Chicago sports thing. And it's funny that I was all about, as I'm getting halfway through the game and I'm watching, this is great. Like, everybody's into it. Sox fans were going crazy in Wrigley Field audibly. And and I know it was just down the street from where I live, but coming through in the television, and it was a nice evening, and a couple windows open, turn the TV up nice and loud, have a good hang, and with Boog and JD, and man, everything was different. Everything felt different, and everybody knew it. If there hadn't have been that fight in the bleachers, that stupid ass fight, and now that I've seen the video, by the way, it was even dumber than you think. It was just a couple of stupid people, and then you got 5 White Sox fans beating on one Cubs fan who's just sort of sitting there and covering his head. And I don't even know what escalated. It looked like typical stupidity. Don't do that. Just don't bother with that stuff. The atmosphere of that game reminded me of a meaningful soccer game, because you had this baseline level of buzz in the crowd, of noise, of always something, no matter what was going on. You didn't have the lulls because there were enough fans of both teams that there was something constant going on. And I do think for games like that, I wish we had a little bit more wit rather than just punching each other and saying you suck, you suck, or going, like, if it is going to be like a soccer game, and I know it's just not the culture like it is in the Premier League or Japanese baseball with organized chanting, but it would be if people could show off their cleverness a little bit more than just their volume. I'd be really into that. But that's neither here nor there on a game that had the number of lead changes, and to have the backbone of the game be yet another individual performance by somebody who is having one of the great seasons in the history of baseball in this city. It's really rare. And I'm old. I've seen a lot of seasons. Appreciate this. Even if you don't like PCA, and be honest, he's kind of hard to not like. He really is. Because not only is he good at everything, he works incredibly hard, especially the fact that he hit another home run against a lefty in that moment. He was bad against lefties, and now he's good against lefties because he put in the work. And then, when he's slapping the Cubs logo, saying it's about the team, he's also not a shithead. He's not one of these redneck dipshits. He just seems like a normal, he's baseball player-y. He wears his emotions out on the outside of his exoskeleton, and it's just really cool. It's really cool to see somebody, he's realizing how good he is. And I don't care how confident an athlete is and what they say after the fact and later after they get to the Hall of Fame, when they go on their speaking tours, and like Derek Jeter, who was brought in to talk to the Bears. Not my favorite moment of the Bears season. We'll get to that probably on Forward Progress, as we mentioned it yesterday. But they all say, well, I always knew this. And they don't. Most players, there's always doubt in their mind. Always. And they never really know, especially a 24-year-old kid, to be at the point where he's just kind of stepping into to stand there in that moment and to see the look on Smith's face when he was just like, oh, he got that one. And he didn't even really get it. He was way out there. All his weight was forward. To all you young hitters out there, if you still want to be able to, and against lefty, to stay closed long enough with just enough of the weight back, he just clicked that, man. He was fooled. He was out in front, hands back, trust the muscle memory to just get enough there, and just flicks it out of the ballpark over 400 feet.
And we talked about Pete Crow-Armstrong on Off the Ivy this morning a lot, obviously. And Dan, and I know you're into all the trivia and all the things happening.
I want all the trivia. I want every last bit of trivia.
This was great from Megan Montemurro saying that Pete Crow added half a WAR, a win last night in his game. So he went from 7.7 to 8.2 after last night. That half of win yesterday in that one game alone is higher than 14 other qualified hitters in Major League Baseball, what they've done on the season. Yes.
Total.
Yes, total.
It's amazing.
And one of those is Kyle Tucker, who's at a 0.4. So he did more in one game than 14 qualified hitters have done the entire season. So hitting the leadoff homer and then the game winner walk-off, he joins a group of now 7 MLB players to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Leadoff homer, walk-off homer. PCA, Chris Young of the Diamondbacks in 10. Ian Kinsler of the Rangers in 2009. Reed Johnson of the Blue Jays in 03. 2000 Angels.
Wait, Reed Mantle? The great Reed Mantle.
Reed Mantle, that's right.
Wow. Former Cub legend Reed Mantle. Yeah, yes. So I got, let's see, Chris Young, Ian Kinsler, Reed Mantle, and
Darren Erstad.
He was Sam Antonacci before Sam Antonacci.
And then May 7th, 1957, Vic Power of the Athletics.
Power.
And then May 17th of 1883, the Phillies, Billy Hamilton.
Okay, different Billy Hamilton.
Different Billy, 1883, yes.
Yeah.
But PCA and Vic Power. The only 2 players to do it on first pitch, last pitch.
That's amazing. It just like every time you think, well, maybe not in this moment, maybe, and there it goes again. Unbelievable.
And talking about first pitch too, make sure we let Eduardo Perez know this. PCA is 24 of 66 with a double and 6 home runs, 13 RBIs on first pitch. His slash line is 364, 386, 662, 1037 on first pitch, which is not his best stat. His best stat is the 0-1 count, which we've been tracking all year on Off the Ivy. His slash line is 528 with an on base, obviously, of 528, slugging 1111 with an OPS of 1639.
And that's just offense. We're just like, we haven't even started talking about the fact that he's the best defensive player at any position in baseball.
Yeah, and as it sits right now with F4, he's at 8.2. Shohei Ohtani's at 7.0.
Mm-hmm. And Shohei Ohtani had 2 home runs yesterday?
Yes.
The 2 of them already had made history. Then the game that we went to back, it was August 5th. When they had leadoff home runs and then both hit 2 home runs in a game.
Yeah.
You know,
add that to the PCA list. I mean, the cycle game, the Tarps off home run in St. Louis last night, the going toe to toe with Shohei Ohtani, where they each hit 2 home runs in the same game. I mean, it's just, and then you could also add in the White Sox game back in May at Wright Field when he loses a ball and loses his mind and gets into it with the fan. I mean, so much has happened. And yet, through all of this, Dan, he's not only improved to be the best player in the game, but look at where he started the season as a player. Like, look at that May game at Wright Field, what he was doing and what he's done since. They talked about it. And, oh, man, you brought up JD and Boog, and I hate before I forget, though, I just love, because I know you love the dry humor, when JD was like, yeah, I was walking around town. A lot of
Chicago people out today.
A lot of Chicago fans in town today for this series.
Yes.
And Boog's like, you know what? You're just an idiot.
But he doesn't realize that that's his way of trolling. I mean, I'm sure he does realize.
Oh
it.
yeah, I know he knows.
And
knows.
Boog's like, so you mean for a game in Chicago? How did you know? Did you interview them? Did you talk to them about what team they were supporting? But
It's just a lot of Chicago fans in town walking around today.
But you got to realize, unless you really it takes a while to acquire the taste for how JD approaches this. And in some aspects, he's making fun of his job.
Yes. He absolutely is.
He is lampooning, he's satirizing the idea of analyzing a Major League Baseball game.
It's funny.
It's really subtle, but it's sort of like, back in the day what eventually I always talk with Terry about. And I said, you realize that we're hosting a sports radio show while making fun of the idea of hosting a sports radio show. It's like, I know, buddy. Whatever. But that was the essence of it. I tried to explain it to people that it was simultaneously satirizing the very concept of what you're doing while also doing it at times earnestly.
Right.
And I mean, that was from JD.
That's why it was such a great blend for so many years that we all had together.
But that's what JD's doing now.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Right.
Yeah.
He's making fun of what he's doing while doing it, and also doing it very well and very serious when it calls for it. That's the whole point of it. Yes. I mean, it's like he's calling a baseball game, and we did a sports talk show on radio for years, but it was entertainment radio.
And everybody was in on it.
That we just happened to be on a sports talk station. And when it came to the time to talk serious sports, you rise to the occasion and do what you got to do and do the job when it's time to really do the job. And it was 95% stupidity.
But it is so fun.
Yeah, I love it.
To listen, and there's always like the way you feel the rhythm of some of these games. The back-to-back homers to start. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
And thinking, oh, this could be one of those. And then Castillo settles down. He's still got some stuff.
No, he's a good that was a really good move by Chris Getz, man. That was solid move bringing that dude through.
Yeah, he's got, I will tell you that the amount when he throws that off the body two-seamer, that's a screwball. That is like old Maddox when he used to use the pitch and he's throwing it 10 miles an hour harder than old Maddox.
Yeah.
But that the Bartolo Colon, when you start talking about the amount of movement you're getting, the B-back on that thing to throw it at the hip of a left-hander and have that I didn't look at the horizontal movement on there to measure it, but it was doing a lot, and it was hard to give up on something. You almost, especially a lefty, you felt like you would almost come out and get it, and try to pull it, because otherwise that thing is going to sneak right into the zone.
Let me ask you a few thoughts on the White Sox, and help me get some clarity here, and see if I'm seeing things correctly or if I'm wrong, because I'm a faraway observer of White Sox baseball.
Yeah, I've probably watched more White Sox baseball than you have by a wide margin.
No, you certainly have. So let me ask you this. Couple things throughout this season. Number one, the celebration of, the White Sox aren't going to lose 100 games for the, fifth consecutive year. Was it 4 years in a row? Like, part of me was like, people were surprised where the White Sox are at. And I get it. The expectations weren't there, and the division's kind of down. The American League's a little bit down.
Oh, American League sucks.
But to be so overwhelmed, I don't know how to verbalize it. Like, to be so overwhelmed as a White Sox fan, overjoyed with the season they're having. Like, how much longer did White Sox fans, were they going to tolerate losing 100, games in a season? You know what I mean? It was like, oh my God, what a surprise. We're not going to lose 100 games this year. Like, how much longer are you going to all put up with that? Like, it's been enough years, man, of like, it's time to start turning this shit around in 2020. You know what I mean? Like, how much longer was that going to be okay for?
Well, they did, is the point. But to do it as quickly as they did, nobody saw coming. And
okay, but as far as quickly, what though? Because how many seasons did you lose 100 in a row? Is it 4 years in a row? Is that quickly?
Well, I mean, it depends when
That
you
seems like a long,
declare.
drawn-out torture for me.
It depends when you declare the bottoming out. I mean, I don't want to go back and rehash a lot of this, the White Sox missteps, and because all roads for me keep leading back to the Tony La Russa disaster.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, let's.
And
Yeah, and you've expressed that over the last week. So yeah, I don't want to put you in that spot. But so let me ask you this then too, because I've watched a handful of games this year. To be completely honest with, I mean, full White Sox games.
Mhm.
Is I had this thought last night, and I know it's reactive based on one bad decision, coupled with the going out to the pitcher's mound in the first inning after they'd already done it. Is Will Venable like the Doug Collins of the Chicago Bulls? Like, I don't know what the future of this team is and if they can continue building on division titles after this season, but is he that guy to take
I don't
them?
know.
Or is he like an A to B guy and needs that B to C guy?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
Because I from my observation, he's great at the soft stuff. That he, as far as setting a tone,
Mhm.
as far as confidence level, as far as his team believing that they're good, I think he's done a terrific job.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that at all.
I really do. That's the stuff I can't measure, and a lot of that's anecdotal. And you talk about guys who want to come to work every day and feel that they're in a position to be their best selves every day. That I think it appears he's really good at.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about his tactical chops. I've had questions about the bunting and like the decision to pitch the PCA last night. I don't like his explanation. There's all kinds of times where, as Joe Madden used to say, just because a decision didn't work doesn't mean it's the wrong decision, which I always credited Joe Madden as he took the job for being a deft inoculation against criticism. Basically saying everything I do is right, even when it fails. That was his way of saying that. Yeah. And it was incredibly arrogant, but that's okay in his position and coming there and sitting in the Cubby Bear and basically telling everybody, hey, I'll buy you a beer, but by the way, I'm never wrong, and get used to it. Theo disagreed eventually. And a lot of people who were watching the World Series certainly disagreed as well. But I do think that Venable is, and I don't like the way all year, I think the Sox have done a terrible job budgeting their challenges.
Yeah, last
Terrible
night
job.
It was a really rough night. Umpire wise, challenge calls, it was rough.
It was, and to me, are they gonna change? They're not changing the challenge rules for the playoffs, are they?
Not that I'm aware of or read. No.
These rules apply for okay.
Yeah.
So they've got to get better at that. There's just no reason to not have a certain leverage index where you can. I'm not saying that every player has to be doing math in their head, but you got to communicate to players, understand the time, understand the moment. I think Carson Kelly's really good at it. He took a borderline challenge late and because you had one and it was a high leverage situation where if it is a 2-2 pitch, obviously a plate appearance outcome deciding pitch is big, and understanding leverage is not something players are generally asked to do. That's a manager's job.
Yeah, but that's really hard though, man, in that moment, because you have half a second. It's really difficult.
And you're personally mad. You're like, oh, damn it. That's why I don't like the challenge system. Just have ABS.
Yeah, no,
I don't like players being, it
yeah.
shouldn't be a player's job to calculate leverage. It's a player's job to hit the fucking ball.
Yeah, and as far as the challenges go, ABS still in full effect, remain active for the postseason, and managers will receive 2 replay challenges instead of the regular season single challenge. But yeah, I mean, we've said that months ago now. ABS should just be full time and permanent. You shouldn't have to rely. So Kevin Alcantara last night, he wasn't tapping his helmet. He put his hand on his helmet though, and looked back. So was he challenging? Was he kind of half challenging? Was he just grabbing his helmet like a lot of guys do?
No, he was challenging.
Clearly wasn't a tap.
Wait, right. It looked like it could have been the Carlton Fisk, which was always like the push your helmet down in between pitches. The whole Carlton Fisk routine, the steady, like
Yeah.
He always did that.
Because he wasn't tapping. So I don't know. But and also JD said that last night too. He's like, let's just make it verbal. Like, let's just get rid of the tap thing. It's kind of unnecessary. Just say, hey, I'm going to challenge that pitch.
Right. Challenge. You can just
Right.
say it.
Right.
Or you put it in pitch comms. You can say it in any language. I don't know how exactly how
So-
you push a button.
So back to the point of it too is just with Will Venable. So as a more frequent observer of White Sox baseball, you're uncertain at this point.
I'm uncertain. I think he's great at the. I would say bottom line. If I'm forced to give you a just my thumbnail scouting report, I would say great soft stuff, great tone setter, tactical chops still in question. That's what I'd say. But I don't know. I haven't seen him manage a playoff series before. I don't know what his habits are when it comes to working a bullpen. And there's all sorts of managerial plus stats that you can get at Baseball Reference if you really want to go into that and everything. Yeah. Plus stats, obviously, normalizing at 100 for bunt frequency, pinch hit frequency, pinch hit success, and all that stuff. I'm not a full believer in micro assessments of managerial statistics because I think you kind of you get into the weeds and you get lost a little bit and you kind of lose the signal and the noise there.
Yeah,
But-
and given the night that PCA had up until the 10th inning last night, there's no reason to pitch to him. Like you'll take your chances against Suzuki compared to
Yes.
PCA
I mean, believe me,
in this season, particularly in that game last night.
I have more memory. It's easier for my mind to see Seiya Suzuki striking out on a high fastball
Yep.
with runners on. It just looks to my mind's eye that seems like something that happens a lot more often than this version of PCA is being somebody you want to challenge,
Yep.
especially with a rookie. And a raw, you just called this guy up. And to put him out there, I feel terrible for him because it wasn't that bad a pitch. It really wasn't. He fooled him.
Yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of Suzuki, that last strikeout he had when he struck out, it was high in the zone, and it was like, I don't know if I should. It was like wiffle ball bat swing. Should I swing? Should I not swing? And he kind of spun around.
He
in
tried
circles.
to cover it. Yeah, it looked like he made a late decision.
Yeah, but like that's the image you're left with.
Decision. Yep.
Hey, that's the image you're left with in that game last night, and you decide to pitch to the guy right in front of him. With the game right there. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
I didn't agree with it in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it now, but there were so many little threads and themes in there. Watching Nico Horner go back to shortstop for the first time in a while and knowing that you're going to see that and seeing Ramirez at second. That was, part of it. The pinch hitting for right-handed Hap, I think was a big deal when you're like, hey, dude, this is you're basically a pitcher now.
You mean bunting?
Excuse me, bunting.
Bunting,
yeah. But when Ian Happ looks down there and realizes, oh shit, they don't want me to swing the bat for the right side. They would rather I make an out on purpose.
Yeah, and then JD talked about that too. That hey, maybe again, you wonder, is that booth conversation or is that clubhouse conversation?
Look, we did that when we were talking about the stuff that Sutcliffe said earlier in the year about resting PCA. And generally, when it reaches the microphone of a broadcast, he's thought about it a while. Anybody who does that for a living, you're not just spouting something off the top of your head.
Well, unless you're a national guy like Eduardo Perez. I forgot to mention too, there was also, we could add Ron Coomer to that PCA needs a sit conversation because that was on the radio as well too, and I totally forgot to bring that to you.
Okay,
I hear a lot more radio than I do TV. So
right. Well, I mean, Coomer's really good.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah,
he's been great.
You can learn a lot. Like I say, and I told Coom this, that even though he was a hitter, he's become a really good pitching analyst.
He's really good, and then he did a nice job last night on the stretch. Him and Zach.
Yeah, I kind of couldn't hear Zach. Coom was really dominating the whole thing. I think Zach let him sort of have that.
That's kind of. I don't think that's Zach's moment though either. I'm not so sure that Zach. I'm sure it had to be a thrill to do it, but I wouldn't think that Zach would be running up there quickly to be like, I want to do it. I want to do it. So.
You know what? I don't know what that guy though. he'll surprise you.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
You never know with him. He doesn't let you in enough to know these things. It's possible he's been dreaming of singing forever and a day.
Maybe you're exactly right. You never know.
I'm still waiting one time. I want to hear Adam Amin belt it out somewhere. One time. And I know he DJs, but this guy he was training. He was an opera singer, like a big booming baritone opera voice. Like, could we hear him do like something from Wagner's Ring Cycle, but that's more of a bass. But I would love to. I would love to hear the full blown Adam Amin opera voice.
Right, maybe get him to do the anthem sometime.
Yeah, he'd probably be better than Cornelison.
The screamy guy.
You call him the screamy guy?
What?
Wait, is this Jim Cornelison slander that is finding its way? Okay.
I love Jimmy C.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
A huge fan.
You sound like one.
I am.
Great point made last night by when who did they credit? They credited a national baseball writer. Tom Verducci, I think, was who Boog credited. And I could be wrong, and I apologize if I got the wrong name. I should have written that down. But I think he said it was Tom Verducci who mentioned that Gary Cohen. It was Gary Cohen, the Mets broadcaster. Still got it. Who said that in these crosstown, whether it's Yankees, Mets, or A's and Giants, or Cubs and Sox, someone's always cheering, no matter where the game is. And that changes the dynamic of the ambient feel of a game, no matter what happens. Usually it would go quiet when the visiting team does well. And it's just, and boy, I spent enough long nights in a dank old Comiskey Park when Jim Rice would hit a ball and I remember it hitting a seat, breaking a seat in the upper deck in half. And everybody in the ballpark heard the seat break because there was barely anybody there. And there wasn't any cheering. As at the moment it left his bat, the entire place went, oh shit. And it wasn't far from me. The ball hits and cracks one of those old rotted green wooden seats in half. And it was so loud, the entire place heard it. That doesn't happen in these games because there's always noise. And then it's Wrigley. So you're in that special, whatever makes that building special. I talked about it when I did the top 10 on Friday about things sound different and things reverberate differently there. So what a night. I'm still kind of bathing in just the afterglow of an incredible sports entertainment experience. It really was something. And good job to everybody involved. You also notice that after the game, when PCA is talking to Taylor McGregor, he's talking and he's trying to listen to her question and come up with the best answer he's got. And I didn't see who ran in and started pouring water on him and doing like the second little celebration thing as he was talking. And then he sort of, wipes himself off and shakes this and then walks back to T-Mac and apologizes to her. He says, I'm sorry about that. You didn't do anything. But I just thought that was adorable. The fact that he, in that moment, felt the need to apologize because something made it difficult for her to do her job there. It was just one of those he didn't have to do that. And a lot of ball players wouldn't take that time to know she's trying to do something. Hey, guys, get away from me. I'm in the middle of, I'm sorry about that. You were saying, yes. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cute. And I hope that the rest of the series can live up to that. I know it can't. And don't punch people at baseball games. Stop. Please just stop. I've seen the video of that dumbass fight and those idiots. Just don't be stupid. Be clever instead. Be clever. Come up with something funny. Come up with something that there's a way to do it, even if it's a profane chant. And I know they're probably not allowed, but like at least in the Premier League, they're drunk as hell, but they can still be witty.
Yeah. Also, too, just this is to the Cubs. You need to be a little more proactive and a little better prepared.
Oh, are you talking about
for
that
the bleacher
security guard?
situation. I mean, like, you have to know going into it. Let's expect the worst from this crowd tonight.
Yeah,
And I meant, last night, tonight. Cubs, White Sox
Thank
fans
you.
get together with alcohol. Be prepared for the worst. And that 75-year-old, 70-year-old usher that was working the
Yes.
bleachers tried to try to get in the middle of what was happening in that confrontation, was more likely to get hurt severely than anyone else throwing fists. So
Yeah, that
just
guy
be
bailed
better
out of there.
And I know that other ushers and Chicago PD were there pretty quickly on the scene, but yeah, like, you need to be better prepared for stupidity to happen when these two teams meet.
I would think that it would be probably, and I'm not trying to be ageist, and there may be concerns of ageism in that regard, but I would like to think that a team is able to assign to the bleachers perhaps a differently equipped group of security people.
Yeah, because that whole confrontation escalated, and it took several minutes to get from a verbal altercation to beer being thrown to fist being thrown. It took several minutes. Where
Yeah.
if they were better prepared with more people there in the bleachers and being there strategically for that reason, it would have never gotten to a fight.
Yeah, it did appear that there was some attempt at de-escalation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got in the middle of it
by onlookers and by the usher.
Yep.
But the de-escalation failed because the stupidity overwhelmed it, and then they threw a beer, and that changed everything. And then you have at one point 5 White Sox fans,
4 or 5 guys. Yeah, there was one guy wearing unless it was a blue and red White Sox jersey, but I thought it was maybe a Sandberg jersey, but I thought he was buddies with those guys hitting the punching the Cubs guys.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I'm not going to draw any conclusions. And they're not going to blame one team's fans over another team's fans. I don't know who started. I just know it is volatile, it's combustible, and the usher was there, but didn't have the ability to de-escalate the situation solo.
Right.
So I'm not saying anybody didn't try or didn't do everything they possibly could do, but maybe pay it's not that much more money to have a few more people there and a few more people who are perhaps capable for
better
whatever
equipped
reason, better equipped to handle some of that
yeah,
stuff.
And I think your bottom line statement though is just don't be an asshole.
Right.
Don't go to a baseball game to fight because you're that passionate about your team. It's a baseball game that you're not playing in. Like, just relax, man.
Yeah, and you can have a great time on a Tuesday night, on a Wednesday night, on a Monday night, whatever it may be. That there's enough around there where regardless of who wins or who loses, you can walk out of the game and go have a beer and a sandwich. It's just not that hard. Or like I say, I mentioned this on Off the Ivy. Sunnyside is right there.
Yeah, maybe get yourself a pancake and a smoke.
It's whatever you need.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to get your vibe right, there's no excuses. It's all right there. But fun times in Chicago baseball with 2 first-place teams, or 1 first-place team and another locked into a playoff spot. Yes. 2 playoff teams, I should say, doing what they do. I saw a survey, and this isn't one of those usual things where you see that some sketchy website did a Twitter survey on something. This is actual data here that I found super interesting, and I wanted to bring it to you. And I realized that in a weird way, I'm actually kind of proud as to where Chicago turned out in the Nielsen Corporation Local NFL Fandom Index. Because there's a lot of headlines. This survey says this, and this survey, and it's some marketing company, or it's just a Twitter bit. But this was Nielsen Corporation, and what they wanted to try to measure is the intensity of local NFL fandom. And what they did was they measured apparel purchases, event attendance, streaming numbers, social media following, TV viewership, radio listening, betting intent, and then what is described as overall interest level. So there is some level of showing the work here. And I'm going to ask you where you think Chicago ranks among the 30 NFL markets in the intensity of their fandom. And are there any other trends that you would expect in a survey like this of the individual markets? Because I'm just trying to measure what would be like a reasonable belief before I give you the results.
I would think Chicago ranked in the top 5.
Why?
Well, just on the pure nature of the size of the market.
Okay.
The number of professional sports teams in the market, and because NFL is king, and because Bears unite this whole city, regardless of your other affiliations.
Okay. Now, that's interesting because it is actually counterintuitive when you hear the results.
Okay.
What can you name, first of all, who do you think is number one, the most avid individual fan base in the entire NFL?
All right, give me the criteria again. Top
8 individual metrics.
Yep.
It's apparel purchases,
Apparel,
event attendance, streaming numbers, social media data, social media following, TV viewership, radio listening. So actually, this is Nielsen now. So they've got all these local radios and everything. Betting intent. If you have a lot of people, we always talk about what drives the numbers, what drives your win totals and all that, and then they describe overall interest level. I don't know exactly how that's measured.
Yeah,
but
these. Let me say, I'll just number one in the NFL is Dallas Cowboys.
No, Dallas is. Where are they? They are 19th.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Well, that was a bad guess. I chose poorly.
Okay. Number one. By a pretty decent margin here is Buffalo.
Really?
Because remember, it's just confined to that market.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo is number one.
Okay. All right. I get you. Yeah. Okay. Now I get where you're going there. Okay. Buffalo number one.
Who do you think who's 30th?
So Cowards, probably something surprising, maybe like a New York team.
New York. No, New York is 30th.
New York's 30th.
They have 2 teams.
Yeah.
And New York is 30th.
Yeah. Okay.
That counts both teams. And the reason is because there's 20 million people there and they're busy.
Yeah. All right. So Chicago probably isn't in the top 5 then, given how that works out. I mean, Green Bay's got to be a top 5 team.
Green Bay's 3. Green Bay / Appleton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Green Bay / Appleton is 3.
I'll stay in the division where the Vikings got to be top 10.
The 11th.
11th sounds close. How about the Saints? New Orleans.
New Orleans, that's a weird town. They're tied for 8th.
8th. Okay, they are top 10.
Yeah, they do love their Saints in New Orleans, but everything about New Orleans is weird.
Chiefs, Kansas City.
Second.
Yep.
Yeah, Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay.
Okay.
And you know who's 4th?
Interesting. Yeah. It's probably a bad team. Who is it?
Yeah, think about a small city that has nothing better to do.
Yeah, I was thinking Jaguars for something, but it's probably not them. It's not Jacksonville.
Jaguars are 7th. Excuse me. No, the Jacksonville Jaguars are 13th.
13th.
But number 4 is the Bengals. Cincinnati is 4th. The only big city is Philadelphia at 5. Chicago's 20th.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. After explaining how,
Yep, Chicago's 20th. New York is last. Next to last is Los Angeles.
Yeah, because they just seem to not really care.
Right. Yeah. There's other things going on in their lives. Miami is 28th. San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose is 27th. But I found the list fascinating. And this is a legit, real survey by a real company that is in the business of surveying.
Yeah, so being large and having multiple professional teams is a detriment in this survey as
Correct.
Well. Yeah.
Correct. Because
because you have nothing else in Green Bay. You have nothing else in Buffalo.
That's it. I
mean, Cincinnati, you have the Reds, but they haven't been good, in almost 50 years?
Well, you had the owner of the Reds telling people Castellini was telling people that's all you got. You got no choice here. You want to watch Major League Baseball? You got to watch us. I was like, okay. But here's the full list.
That's funny.
Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay, Appleton is third. Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Detroit, New Orleans. The Cleveland-Akron combined market is 10th. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 11th. Denver, Jacksonville, then Seattle, Tacoma. Nashville, Charlotte, Indianapolis, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, then Chicago. Boston, Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, Atlanta, Phoenix, Tampa, St. Pete, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, L.A., and at the bottom, New York.
Yeah, and the Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh thing is interesting, given the number of professional teams that are there in both cities.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows how significant the NFL is in those markets. Wow, that's crazy.
So
you have a lot of other teams to support.
Yeah, Philadelphia was indexed in the top 5 in 5 of the 8 metrics. 3rd in apparel, 2nd in betting, 5th in interest, 5th in social media following, and 4th in streaming. And you've got New York and LA each with 2 teams at the very bottom. And what Nielsen said was New York and LA's split Giants, Jets, or Rams, Chargers fandom, combined with media markets saturated with other entertainment options, dilutes per capita NFL intensity, despite the market's enormous absolute fan count. True fandom is intensely local. Mid-sized legacy markets punch far above their weight in per capita engagement. It is by the individual person in that city. The average person in Buffalo is Bills crazy. The average person in New York is not NFL crazy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
The average person in Cincinnati cares way more about the NFL than the average person in Los Angeles.
I would love to see a very similar study and survey given for other sports.
I would too.
Like, I'd love to see how that reflects in basketball. Because I think you might see, like, New York might be higher up given the nature of Knicks fans.
Maybe. Or is that just sort of the way we picture? I don't know. I found
it's I know, but there's something about Madison Square Garden being in the middle of just like you're in Manhattan, and then you walk out of the stadium and like you're in Manhattan.
It's the best. It's why it's my favorite basketball venue.
Like the whole idea of what should we do after the game?
Anything.
It's hard to answer because there's so many things.
Anything. Is it? Yeah. I don't care. It's 4 a.m. What do you want to do? Anything.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just my brain telling me that New York would rank higher in the NBA, but maybe not though.
Oh, and if they do this with hockey markets, you're going to see obviously all the Canadian teams and Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because Buffalo is essentially in Canada when it comes to a Canadian market.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I thought so too. And I've got a couple other business notes in sports business. And the reason I bring these to your attention is because I fall victim, like you probably do, to rolling my eyes at headlines, and every time I click on something or every time I'm scrolling, always thinking, well, everything's getting worse and everything's getting worse and stupid always wins. And I try to not give in to cynicism, and I've been better about that. And I've done the work on it. That one of my problems and one of my issues when it comes to anxiety. I know people make fun of me, Bernstein take the fun out of stuff, or Bernstein finds the negative. And yeah, while sometimes it can help me be good or different or interesting maybe in talking into a microphone, it's not necessarily the happiest way to live your life. So I also like to highlight bits of news or headlines that are also good. And I've got a couple of them here. And the first one being, if you've been following what's been going on with LIV Golf and watching the slow bleed out of the body of LIV Golf, and watching as the blood just pours out onto the street, and you can just feel the pressure dropping and the heartbeat slowing until you can finally just kind of come over and kick a toe at the lifeless corpse of LIV Golf, that it's just fun to watch, because I think LIV Golf was a grotesque and misguided bastardization of a wonderful game that was trying to turn it into something very, very, very stupid, and succeeded. They succeeded at turning this game into something really, really stupid and aimed lower and middle brow. And they threw around a ton of money, and they lured players away because, well, money. And we all had to say, well, you can't. There's always, everybody's got a number. And that's why it was a cynical venture that we thought, well, the deep pocketed Saudis, they're not going to care. Well, they cared, and that's why they don't want to be in that business anymore. And LIV Golf, its scheduled individual and team championship has been canceled. So that's done. And there's a tournament outside of Indianapolis that's going to be the last event of the season. And they're trying to cut their costs because they're running out of money, because the Saudi sovereign fund has decided that this is a bad investment even for them. And they say that they've secured funding from an outside investor, but that seems pretty sketchy. And it looks like people are jumping the gun, because the way they're acting right now is that this is circling the drain. And I'm enjoying it. I like it. I didn't like the idea of it. I don't like that all of that money just siphoned away some great players who I enjoyed watching from the actual tour of actual competitive golf. And I think it'll be great if and when these the people who left for the money overcome and make it hard for them to get back. Absolutely. And if they want to buy their way back on and give up a chunk of that money, there should be a way of doing that charitably somehow, and say, you got to make your $50 million donation to something good, and make something good out of this. Of all that bad money, of all that bone saw Saudi money, you want to make it good? There's probably a way to do it. But I like the fact that LIV Golf is unhealthy to the point of likely going away. And then we get to the enhanced games. Remember the enhanced games?
Mm-hmm.
The enhanced games were an attempt by a venture capital group led by Donald Trump Jr. and the odious Peter Thiel. They said, what if we had the Olympics, but steroids were legal, and everybody is supposed to take steroids and can take steroids, and we'll really see what the Olympics can look like when we're not policing. We're not one of these woke sports that's policing performance enhancing drugs. My goodness, was that bad business. Wow. The enhanced games in May cost $60 million. And the company that was involved, Enhanced Group Incorporated, because they're listed on the New York Stock Exchange, they reported their second quarter financial results. They had $17.7 million in revenue. They reported it was sponsorship revenue in connection with the inaugural Enhanced Games. Their costs $52 million for the games, athletes, and event operating costs. $59 million for the first 6 months of the year in costs, $79 million in expenses, a total loss in operations of $61.9 million for the quarter. And they had all of these comments about how they feel the games went very well and they're excited about the future, but describing they're going to need some lower cost events in the future. And I'm not even going to read their quotes. The quotes are so ridiculous. And Enhanced Group is very pleased because Enhanced Group says we are a globally recognized sports brand, the only organization to have successfully conducted a medically supervised enhanced sporting event in history. And they say simultaneously, we've built the foundation for a personalized performance medicine business. Well, the enhanced games, if that was really the goal, the whole moving the goalposts here, this whole idea, well, we weren't trying to make money. We were trying to introduce a performance medicine business. Well, the stock debuted in May with a high close. It opened at $7.40 and closed at $9.70. As of yesterday, it closed at $1.71. It's at 23.1% of its opening price. So that's the extent to which the markets believe that that was a success. So you go ahead and I love the outcome. If bad people want to lose money on a stupid idea, I'm here to celebrate it. And congratulations to everyone who had the foresight to short all of this. And I guarantee you some people did. And when you find a turd out there and you feel that you can jump on the short side of a big old NYSE turd, I hope that you are enjoying the fruits of your decision making. Congratulations on that. Lastly, Maddie, you know that we went through a little drama I know that you're a bigger fan of this Ted Lasso season than I am. And I said that I would watch the second episode. And now that promise is in danger. Because Jason and I watched the first episode and it was terrible. And I said, all right. Again, Beth was mad that because we'd watched the first 3 seasons, like the entire family has watched it, and even Zoe watched some of it, and we all enjoyed it, and it was all great, and the experience was great. So I'm like, okay, we'll watch the season. That first episode was awful, and I said, all right, I'll give it a chance. And last night, Beth's like, okay, I'm going to watch Ted Lasso, and I thought, okay, great, we can get back on schedule here, and she is out. So now I don't know what to do. Because she said, I'm watching Ted Lasso. And I said, okay, enjoy. And then she texted and she said, this show is awful. And I said, it gets marginally better. She said, it does? I said, a little. And then she said, I'm out. And she turned it off. And I said, are you going to watch the second episode? And she said, no. And now that means I have to soldier on alone. Have you seen the second episode?
Yeah.
Is it better?
Yeah, it's better than the first, but I mean, I'm happy to sit down and watch a new episode of Ted Lasso. So
I know, but if you don't want to watch it if it's bad.
Yeah, I didn't think the first one was awful or terrible. I get it. I get your points to it of why it wasn't up to the same standard of what the show has been. But I also understand what they're trying to do after trying to reopen a closed door. It's not a very easy process. So I'm willing to sit through the first few episodes to get them back on track.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. I'm just sort of testing.
And I watched the second episode, and again, I was very happy at the end watching a new episode of Ted Lasso. The underlying themes, the point of what the show is all about, those come through.
And I know
that's more meaningful to me than, oh, it's really well written or really well acted. I can put those things aside a bit because the underlying themes are really powerful and moving and important.
Okay, I just want to see where we are on this. If I give it, I'll give it a second episode and see where we are, because she said she's out and not going to be joining me. So there's that. And while we're talking about comfort food, can we pour one out here for the Glenview Hackneys?
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Closing down.
Man. Hackneys? Really? Glenview? You're out? You're done? That's it? I don't know what to make of that. I understand that this is not cutting edge American cuisine. That I know that people aren't going to Hackneys and taking photos of their food and putting it on social media. But I'll miss it because when I still think about it, the one thing I love about Hackneys, and I think there's still one up in Palos up at the top of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
I
believe there is, yes.
Off of LaGrange, that's still there.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
The Glenview one, that was the closest one to us growing up in Deerfield. And as a kid, I always got excited to go there because I didn't have to look at a damn menu. It was like going to Charlie Beinlich's, where you knew what you were getting. If it was a matter of either you were getting the patty melt where they were going to grill the rye a little bit, or you were just going to get it on black rye, and you were going to get a massive pile of those onion strings, their onion loaf, whatever they call it, to start the and life was good. And you didn't need much more than that. So I'm gonna miss it. I don't know how many others are out there, but that's a big place. It seats like 600 people or 700 people or something like that. And I just that thing lasted. That thing was you're talking about a little piece of your childhood that was still kicking, still doing a half a pound burger. And it wasn't, and you could get it like medium. That was but before all these woke food beasts said you got to cook your burgers through. Well, as Shane Reardon likes to say, you can't ever be afraid to get a little sick out there. And let the record show I did, not from Hackneys, but from an undercooked burger. I had Campylobacter poisoning and lost 26 pounds in a week, but and ran 104 fever. It was awful, but I still would like to get a burger that's occasionally a little bit undercooked. And I will miss good old Hackneys. And I just wanted to put it out there. So if you like to, I don't know what your drink of choice would be. I don't know if you'd go there and get like a big Miller High Life or something. Pour a little one out for a real one. If you have a moment and you are so inclined to do that. That is today's Dan Bernstein Unfiltered, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. We are 1 week away from the party. So make your plans. 1 week. First Down, it's called. And thanks to Chicago Window Guys, the best replacement windows and doors at the best price. Visit ChicagoWindowGuys.com. We're going to be at Double Clutch in Evanston 1 week from tonight, 6 o'clock. Come on in. Come hang out. Have some snacks. Enjoy some giveaways. We've got Weezer tickets, Lionel Richie tickets. We've got Cubs Marlins tickets for September. We've got Snoop Dogg at Ravinia. Snoop Dogg is playing Ravinia. We've got those tickets and Double Clutch gift cards. It's just a chance to hang out, say hi. Maybe you've been a long time emailer in this first year, but we did it. If we do this one more week, we've made it a year. So 2121 Ashland in Evanston. It is free. It's open to everyone. You don't need an invite. You don't need a code. You just need to come by and say hey. So looking forward to it 1 week from tonight.
Dan Bernstein Unfiltered on 312 Sports.